take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on.
It's not a white genocide in South Africa. It's a little something called reparations, which is something that never happened in America. So I think it's a good idea that we finally let it happen in South Africa, because colonizers that look like me moved to the area and stole the land of black farmers. And it's only fair that we give land back through policies fairly to ensure that there is a more equitable society in South Africa.
Donald Trump's attempt to humiliate the South African president today was not in the United States' interest whatsoever, nor was it intended to be. It was intended to serve an audience of one person, that apartheid Nepo baby, Elon Musk, who has the white supremacist goal of reasserting apartheid in South Africa. And of course, this effort is going to fail. South Africa has gone through much worse than Donald Trump and Elon Musk. No policies will change, and the only result will be that the United States is humiliated.
What's up, YouTube family? Welcome back to my space. This is Evans Rayola. Guys, thank you so much for tuning to watch today's episode. So guys, on today's video, we want to talk about Americans reacting on the recent meeting of President Donald J. Trump and President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa. President Donald Trump was trying to question President Ramaphosa about the alleged white genocides, in South Africa. And Americans have reacted and said, what is happening in South Africa is actually reparations. What America has refused to give black folks for the longest time. What is happening in South Africa is the president ensuring that black people get what is originally theirs. For the longest time, white farmers, the white South Africans have been in excess, of private, lands, most of them, while they are only 7% of South Africa's population. They are actually inheritance of the leaders of the apartheid system in South Africa. So family, I want you to watch this series of videos that I have compiled of Americans questioning President Donald Trump for meddling into issues of South Africa. Once the series of videos are done, we will get back and do a critical analysis about the same. Let's watch these together, family.
Take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on.
It's not a white genocide in South Africa. It's a little something called reparations, which is something that never happened in America. So I think it's a good idea that we finally let it happen in South Africa, because colonizers that look like me moved to the area and stole the land of black farmers. And it's only fair that we give land back through policies fairly to ensure that there is a more equitable society in South Africa. If you want to talk about the big G word, we have to bring up Gaza, Palestine, and the West Bank, because that's what's happening there, where an entire people is being wiped out because a certain somebody doesn't like them. And I know South Africa has problems, but there's no evidence for the ones that Donald Trump is making up. And that's exactly the problem, because billionaires are so afraid of losing their land and power in South Africa that they are willing to make up atrocities to hopefully hold on to them.
Hello, I know I look crazy. I was just in the middle of writing an entertainment profile, simultaneously covering Donald Trump's meeting with the South African president on Blue Sky, when I thought I would just hop on here and casually cover it. So the two met to discuss this white genocide, among other things, and a partnership, and it went off the rails. At one point, Trump demanded that they dim the lights in the room to play a prepared video that's supposed to prove mass killings of white farmers in South Africa, leaning into this conspiracy theory that has been debunked by every piece of information that has ever been presented. We just don't have any evidence that that is actually happening. And Ramaphosa looked stunned. He was silent, smiling, uncomfortable. He couldn't watch the video. He was shifting in his seat. And eventually, when it ended, very calmly, he said, where is this? I know nothing about this. Our government has nothing to do with this, and I've never even seen it. But Trump kept pulling back into this narrative of dead white people. White farmers are being killed. And the difference in how Trump treated the guests was wild. I am not interested in this race culture war stuff, but he was giving the white South Africans jokes about golf, relating to golf, gave Elon Musk a shout out, but when the black trade union leader spoke up about violence against black South African elderly women, Trump literally scowled, dismissed them, just moved on. And at one point he was flipping through pages, death to white farmers. And Ramaphosa stayed measured the entire time. He even pointed out that his agricultural minister is white and that South Africa has crime, yes, but not a racial genocide. It's not just white people and not white people more than any other culture. And so, it was not just a tense. It was Trump trying to push this fringe narrative in front of a foreign leader who's trying to give him a reality check, basically. And after the video played, there was this incredibly tense and awkward moment when an NBC News reporter shouted from the press seats asking about the Qatari jet, and Trump was enraged. He insulted him. He said he doesn't deserve to be a reporter. He told him, besides some white South Africans and other South Africans saying that the white people are treated unfairly, there's just no evidence that this is something that's happening. None of those people that are saying that they've seen it, that they've heard of it, that they are not providing any evidence, no credible information. The United Nations doesn't seem to be convinced at all. So here we are, we have a huge population that is swearing that there is a genocide against white people. And then we have other people that are saying, okay, how are we expected to believe this and then therefore do things about it? And also, not to mention, give exceptions to these white South Africans because the genocide over there against them exclusively is so horrific that they get a special door to walk through. Meanwhile, all the other refugees programs get canceled. This is the conversation that is being had. There is a lot of controversy surrounding the South African that is currently living with his family in Alabama, who has an IT business, Errol Langton. It was hard to watch. Welcome to Wednesday.
I just got finished watching the South African president and the president of the United States sit in the Oval Office and talk things through, okay? Now, the real meeting, okay, so they had two different reasons for the meeting, okay? Trump wanted to talk about the stuff that's happening, that he believes is happening to the Afrikaners in South Africa. Okay. And the South African president, he wanted to talk about building relations as far as business and technology and to help provide more jobs to South Africa and things of that nature, because he believes that's the root of the problem. That's what South Africa was coming to talk about, and they were coming to talk about relations. But as the meeting went on, Trump pulled out these big, thick printouts from all over the web. You could tell it was the web, okay? So anybody can write whatever, right? But it was the web and about farm attacks on Afrikaners in South Africa, right? Which is why they're fleeing. He said, this is what the meeting is about. So Trump had a whole other thing in mind, right? And so then there was this big screen, like this widescreen TV in there, and they showed two groups, but I'm more familiar with Malema, right? And how what they were saying on the microphone and against the Afrikaners. But yeah, they were showcasing stuff that was backing up Trump's claim that Afrikaners were a target in South Africa, okay? And he asked the South African president, he said, why haven't you arrested Malema for saying the things that he says? This was the clapback. This was clapback moment number one, okay? But the South African president didn't come prepared, okay, to clap back, okay? Because he would have clapped back. Because all he could have said was, the same way you don't arrest the Triple K in your nation. It's called freedom of speech. We got freedom of speech over there too. The same way you pardoned everyone on January 6th. We ain't gonna talk about that, are we? Even though they had the whole guillotine out there for somebody that ran with you called Pence, the vice president. We ain't gonna talk about that. You see, that's the clapback. So as the meeting went on and everything, right? It was more the South African president trying to keep a lid on things. Because I think in the back of his mind, he knew that it could erupt if he said the wrong thing. So I think he came prepared to say what he wanted to say without it erupting. But he had other people speak, and the majority of people who spoke in there on the South African side were Afrikaners or white South African. man. Okay. Okay, so and here's point number 2. Okay, when he was like, we have to get this fixed. Why aren't you fixing this? Why aren't you fixing this? Blah blah blah. This is what the administration was saying. And my thing is this: why didn't there was a lot of ways you could come at this, and I'm assuming the South African president just didn't want to, tell the complete and whole truth, because all he had to do was say, why haven't I gotten a handle on my issue? Is because the same reason why you hadn't gotten a handle on your issue in these schools with them pew-pews. Same reason why you hadn't gotten a handle on it. Matter of fact, do you need our help? Because while you helping us, we can help you get all these pew-pews off the street too. Here's the one thing that really got me. When one of those guys, one of the Afrikaners were talking, they were like, T. wrongs. Well, I know I grew up under apartheid, and but 2 wrongs don't make a right. And that's the thing I don't like. It's because y'all act like y'all don't have to repair nothing. You do. You do. Because the land that you actually want, most of it was stolen. So give it back. And all of the land has not been given back. That's fact 1. And that's all they had to say. That's all the president had to say. But excuse me, most of that land was stolen, Mr. President. So if someone steals something from you, if we're going to give it back, we got to give it back. Correct? So that's what we're doing. And some people don't want to get up off it. So that's what's going on. That's how you're supposed to talk. That's how you're supposed to talk over here. Ain't no no, because they're not about to laugh with you. So bottom line, how do I think the meeting went? I think the meeting was garbage. Really, nothing was really done. I think the meeting was just for show. Yeah, I think it was garbage and nothing really got handled, because the first thing that should have been said, I believe, from the South African president's mouth is what the majority of South African people are saying, white and black, is that it's a lie. There is no G word going on in South Africa. Okay. And number 2, just like in your country, we have the freedom to say what we want to say. And if Malema says what he says or whatever like that, it's just like it's the equivalent of what someone else may say in your following over here in the United States of America that you might, some other people might take offense to. Okay. And as far as all those newspaper clippings and stuff like that, I'd have been like, okay, well, let me show you. I'd have pointed to my homeboy on the couch that wasn't doing nothing. Start looking up all the clips real quick of all the black South Africans. Okay, that have gotten taken out. Okay, by the hands of. Okay, that's what I would have been like. Because what you're not going to do is hand me no internet files. Put them in my freaking hand like I'm supposed to read them. Them suckers would have been landed clean on the floor. But that's why I would have got loads of ratings. If I went to the you want a showdown, baby. We about to have a showdown for show enough. But yeah, nothing happened. It's going to be the same old. But I do believe that based on this meeting, they are going to plan something for South Africa. And it's going to be for the good of those who once ruled in apartheid. If they don't watch it.
Guys, the meeting between Trump and Cyril Ramaphosa was so tense. Watch this.
Investment matters. So the issues that concern you as the United States,
Those are all racist. Those are all deaths.
Yeah.
And just put this on. It's right behind you.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one.
two individuals that are in that video that you've seen are both leaders of opposition minority parties in South Africa. We cannot have those people sitting in the union buildings.
Why wouldn't you arrest that man? That man said, kill the white farmers, kill the white farmers. And then he danced, and he's dancing. That was a stadium that holds 100,000 people, and I hardly saw an empty seat. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of representation.
Donald Trump's attempt to humiliate the South African president today was not in the United States' interest whatsoever, nor was it intended to be. It was intended to serve an audience of one person, that apartheid Nepo baby, Elon Musk, who has the white supremacist goal of reasserting apartheid in South Africa. And of course, this effort is going to fail. South Africa has gone through much worse than Donald Trump and Elon Musk. No policies will change, and the only result will be that the United States is humiliated, like we always are under this president.
I love this comment. In Africa, if there's a meeting, you wait for your turn to talk. You don't just talk when people are talking. President Ramaphosa was the one pointing who must speak. If you wanted Ronald to speak, he would have. So what you're trying to say is that this South African minister who's holding the answers was not given the opportunity to confirm, deny, clarify, or even mumble a response about those photos, articles, and videos, but somehow golfers and business execs got to speak instead? That's like going to a basketball tournament and benching your top players and letting, no offense, water boys and concession stand workers to play offense. And of course he slid in photos of atrocities from another country. This is the same guy that said, "What is Congo?"
Over the world, the Congo in Africa. Many people come from the Congo. I don't know what that is, but they came from the Congo.
So when people say, oh, he showed respect, or this was a strategy, you're patching the leak with duct tape, because how can strangers tell you what's going on inside your own home? This wasn't a time to play silent mediation. This was a time to speak up. Listen, I took it for what it is. People are always watching. Even the president of Egypt declined an invitation to the White House. He probably thought they were going to do the same thing too. So let's take this humble learning curve. And thanks to South Africa, hopefully no African leaders will travel overseas, because they love doing that, without doing their homework. And on the bright side, you guys have the G20 summit coming up soon.
Did you guys see this? Julius Malema, he lets us know what he thinks about that meeting. He posted this on X. A group of older men meet in Washington to discuss gossip about me. No significant amount of intelligent evidence has been produced about white genocide. We will not agree to compromise our political principles on land expropriation without compensation for political expediency. And you can see in that meeting, they were playing videos of him. They were calling him out by name. He then posted this: "You will never put a good man down. I will never be defined by my enemies, but by my loyalty to the cries of our people. You will never kill the idea whose time has come. Kill me now, cowards." And you can see the photo he posted. What do you guys think about this? They were mentioning Malema's name left and right at that meeting, but Malema brought up a good point. He didn't see any intelligent evidence of this white genocide.
Donald Trump just got called out to his face by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa in the Oval Office. Now, the two leaders are meeting today to discuss the claims that Donald Trump has made about South Africa, specifically what's happening to certain farmers there. At one point, Donald Trump was asked, what would it take to convince you that these stories aren't true? And before Trump could respond, Ramaphosa jumped in and said this:
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans.
Yeah, it will take Donald Trump listening. And that was the theme of this entire meeting. Donald Trump has been constantly trying to insist that these things are happening in South Africa. He has accused the president of being behind this. Sometimes he doesn't, and each time the South African president pushes back and he says, look, we need to have a dialogue. We need to have a talk. At one point, he invoked Nelson Mandela. He has been very calm about it, but taking subtle jabs like this, and I say that's well done.
Can we stop letting Donald Trump meet with world leaders? Please, how do we make this happen? President Trump confronted South African President Cyril Ramaphosa and accused his government of mass killings and land seizures targeting white people. And the reality is, South Africa does have one of the world's highest crime rates, and the vast majority of victims are black South Africans, not white South Africans. Despite online chatter, there's no evidence of a white genocide or state-sanctioned land grabs. This moment actually reminds us of the time he met with Zelensky and ambushed him in front of the entire world as well. And then, said out loud, well, I guess America is willing to take a bribe if you're going to send us a jet like our friends in the Middle East did.
Sorry, I don't have a plane to give you.
I wish you did. I take it. I would take it. If your country offered the United States Air Force a plane, I would take it.
Okay.
He's saying this on a national stage, people. This is embarrassing. It's corruption. It's everything that's wrong in the world. As he's telling a world leader what's happening in his country, and none of it's true, as he decides to take in the white refugees. Those are the good ones, according to Trump land. And everyone else, get out. But yes, more embarrassing moments with Trump and world leaders on a national stage. It's embarrassing, spreading lies, quietly saying he would take bribes on a national stage. Just a bad look for America. Can we please stop Donald from meeting with world leaders? Please.
Family, the recent meeting between Donald Trump, and Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa has sparked a lot of online reactions to people all over the world. And to Americans, it's been so wild. When you look at TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Americans are actually worrying why Trump is trying to meddle into business, of South Africa. People are questioning him. People are saying that Trump has been supporting, the white farmers in South Africa. But the real case is that these people are actually not facing any forms of threats in that country. There are any reported killings, of white farmers in regards to the president's, law, or rather the High Court law, to try and ensure that these lands are divided equally between the black and white South Africans. The recent meeting between US President Donald Trump and South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has elicited a wide range of reactions from Americans, spanning political commentators, media outlets, and the general public. When you look at the media and public reactions, to this story, you'll notice that many American media outlets criticized President Trump's approach during the meeting. That was not a good approach. Trump instead ensured that a meeting that Ramaphosa was thinking would be one that would connect South Africa to America in terms of trade and other relationships, to be one that he questions, Ramaphosa about business in South Africa. The Washington Post highlighted Trump's unfounded claims about white genocide in South Africa, noting that assertions are largely dismissed by mainstream media due to lack of evidence. Similarly, Reuters reported that Trump confronted Ramaphosa with explosive false claims of white genocide and land seizures, which South Africa denies. Even the media is reporting that Donald Trump was trying, to lock, or rather to question and accuse the president of South Africa with false claims. He did not deserve to question Cyril Ramaphosa because he does not have facts. We saw him play a video, of Julius Malema, forcing claims that Malema was trying to suggest to black South Africans that it's time that the white farmers were killed. Allegations that are actually not true. What Julius Malema was trying to foster was try and ensure that, which is happening in South Africa today, he wanted equal land distributions in South Africa. He did not want the rotten idea, of these white farmers having big lands, that they inherited from their fathers, their forefathers, who were actually leaders of the apartheid rule. On television, co-hosts of The View criticized Trump's remarks, with Whoopi Goldberg refuting the genocide claim based on her personal experience in South Africa, labeling the comments as false and offensive. This is the media and public reactions online. People are saying that Trump, is trying to accuse the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, falsely. They're saying that this has always been a lie. A media reporter saying that herself, she's been to South Africa and there is no any case of white genocide. Then there's a lot of political analysis on this story. Political analysts have interpreted Trump's focus on the alleged persecution of white farmers as a strategic move to appeal to his base. The New York Post suggested that Trump's warm welcome for white refugees was a diplomatic shot across South Africa's bow, indicating a broader geopolitical strategy. You know, people are thinking that this is actually a political strategy by Donald Trump. Donald Trump has a reason why he wants these white South Africans in America. And this could be political because the New Post suggests, and they repeat, that Trump's warm welcome for white refugees was a diplomatic shot across South Africa's bow, indicating a broader geopolitical strategy. The Council on Foreign Relations noted that the tensions behind the Trump-Ramaphosa meeting could have implications for US-South Africa relations, especially concerning trade and diplomatic engagements. Then there is a lot of public sentiments online. A lot of Americans are going wild on why Trump decided, to accuse Cyril Ramaphosa wrongly. People are saying they are happy that reparations are working in South Africa, something that has defeated the US government to do. And they say that Donald Trump should not actually meddle in the business of South Africa because they are doing well. There are no any white genocides against them. There's a lot of public sentiments. Public reactions in the US has been mixed. Some Americans expressed concern over the potential strain on US-South Africa relations, emphasizing the importance of diplomatic decorum. Others supported Trump's stance, viewing it as a necessary confrontation on human rights issues. Social media platforms have been abuzz with debates reflecting the polarized views on this matter. In summary, the Trump-Ramaphosa meeting has sparked significant discourse in the United States, with reactions reflecting broader political and ideological divides. So guys, like this video, comment down below, let me know what you think about the meeting of President Donald Trump and President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa. Let us create a conversation down below. Like this video so that it can be recommended to other YouTube users, and I'll be very, very grateful, guys. Last but not least, let's endeavor to subscribe to the channel. We are currently in the road to 50,000 subscribers, and guys, we can never do this without your support. Share this video widely and let us learn together. Thank you, and see you all in our next episode. Goodbye for now.